this is literally a right-wing MAGA extortion racket using people inside and outside the government to extort companies to get money from them.
I have to ask you about Cracker Barrel and this logo because, God, you put out so many funny tweets about this. I mean, people like James Woods saying, I'm never going to go there again. You're like, oh, no, horrible news, right? But Donald Trump now has just recently made an announcement that he's calling on Cracker Barrel to change their logo back to what it was, as if this is an issue and anybody cares about it. What do you make of MAGA? You know, we heard the Sydney Sweeney nonsense, and now the Cracker Barrel logo. It's just so bizarre. What do you make of this?
Let me explain to you what's going on here, because like nobody really gets this. So there's a comical aspect to it and there's a sinister aspect to it. The comical aspect to it is they're like that tier below the influencer level of MAGA people like Woods, who, you know, are out there like cartoon characters saying and doing all these ridiculous things about Cracker Barrel. So that's the comical thing, and we all get caught up in that. But the reality is, the sinister side of this is a very orchestrated money-making extortion operation. And there's a lot of connections between the two. And I'm trying to like tie up some of the loose ends, but it's difficult because this stuff is very opaque. Let me explain to you how this works. Okay. So Stephen Miller, as fast as I can, Stephen Miller's organization that he belonged to, that he founded, was called America First Legal. And they sue American companies for DEI, for supposedly discriminating against white people, whether it's employees, customers, supervisors, whatever. So they file all these lawsuits against companies, and it's all about an extortion racket. Then what you have is when one of these companies that they're going after, and they sued Cracker Barrel months ago for DEI, but it was, you know, they wouldn't get any traction, wasn't going anywhere. Then when a company like Cracker Barrel that they're suing does something that could be considered woke, like taking the old cracker guy off the logo, you know, this is discriminating against white crackers, you know, so, you know, that gives them the hook that they need. Then it goes to a guy called Robbie Starbuck, who's on social media. If you follow him, he's the point man for extorting the companies. He will then, and he even posted today, he organizes along with other people the social media influencer brigade. To then, they did it with Bud Light. They do it with so many other companies, and they then will go after the company. Organize the boycotts, trash it, ramp up all the political pressure. Donald Jr., Trump Jr. gets in on it. Jack Posobiec, all the usual suspects. They all pile on. Stock price goes down. Then you have inside the government, typically Stephen Miller or somebody at DOJ starts threatening legal action against the company. This time you even had Donald Trump, trashing the company. And then you have Robbie Starbuck, who right after Donald Trump issues his post, reaches out to the CEO of Cracker Barrel on social media and says, you need to call me. And what he's saying is, you need to call me and negotiate a settlement, and I'll make all this go away for you. All the influencer stuff, I'll call it off. They've done this like half a dozen times, and they make a lot of money doing it. They make a lot of money. So this is literally a right-wing MAGA extortion racket using people inside and outside the government to extort companies to get money from them. That's what it is. You got to follow. It's very opaque. It's very difficult to follow. I follow it, but even I have a hard time showing the coordination. I literally would have to spend like days on it, and I don't have time.
I think you explained it better than anybody. So I certainly appreciate that. I have to ask you about this whole Sydney Sweeney thing, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on the show, because it seems to me anyway that this is a manufactured scandal from the right. I haven't seen any, and you can tell me if you have any prominent Democrats that have called Sweeney out or really even taken any time talking about this. I mean, it seems like this is the Bud Light thing all over again, only this is even more pathetic. What do you make of this?
It's really even more pathetic. I mean, the Bud Light thing is a little different because, that was just, they just paid they just paid the transgender person to do an Instagram ad. That was it for like $5,000, and they just turned that into a whole thing. But in this case, there were like so in that case, it was them complaining about an ad. In this case, they're claiming that Democrats are complaining about an ad. But you know, I've covered MAGA for many years, and I monitor all of their people, all their influencers every single day. And I watch this happen in real time. And I've seen this playbook so many times before. Like literally, I've seen this 200 times, except that this one sort of took off a little bigger, maybe because, look, a lot of times they're just looking for an excuse to post, you know, a scantily clad hot blonde, you know, and they're just, because they know that's good for clicks with MAGA. So a lot of times they're just looking for any excuse to put that out there. But I watched this happen. Here's what happened. The ad comes out, and then a bunch of the right-wing influencers said, oh, the libs, this is what they said. Oh, the libs are not going to like this. They're going to hate this. An attractive, blonde-haired, blue-eyed model. When's the last time, you know, any jean company used? It's been years since because they have this thing in their head that like only like plus size minority women are used in ads anymore. Like they don't use white women. So this is their belief. That's not true, but that's what they believe. So when Sydney Sweeney comes out and does that ad, they're like, oh, the libs aren't going to like this. Meanwhile, the libs said nothing. I mean, there was virtually like no reaction. I Google searched it. I found like one writer for like some small, it was Salon or one of those small publications, who like had an issue with in the ad. It said good genes, GEGENES. And so they were like, oh, that's like a dog whistle or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of like taking it a little too far, but that was basically it. Like a handful of like random people on the internet, probably half bots, were doing a little bit of grumbling, but no members of the media who are Democrats, no elected officials, no prominent Democratic influencers anywhere that I could find criticizing this. Meanwhile, they just kept building it and building it. The libs are outraged. The libs are they hate white women. You know, they hate attractive women. And I'm just like watching this play out day after day. And then of course once Fox picks up on it, and of course Fox again, they just look for that's the Fox playbook is you have an attractive blonde model and you have an excuse to put her on TV. They're going to run that. They're going to run that 24/7 because that's good ratings. Their audience is mostly old white guys who that's what they want to see. So I just watched. It was just so fake. And so I kept challenging them. I'm like, I put it out there because so many of them follow me. I said, name me one prominent Democrat, just one elected official anywhere who has complained about this ad, and I'll shut up. Crickets, you know,
nothing. Yeah, as I said, and I agree with you. Yeah, it's a manufactured scandal from the right.
He's like, what can I come up with? Holy shit, you know, everybody else has come up with all this crazy. He's like, yesterday, Trump rolls out makes several announcements, executive orders, plans, Lutnick and DOJ, multiple agencies make all these announcements on a variety of different things. And MAGA hated every one of them. I mean, so I cover, you know, the MAGA movement. I'm watching their reaction, and they are just freaking the hell out. I mean, one after another, flag burning, Chinese students taking over Intel. The Proud Boys are pissed off. Chuck Grassley's pissed off about fertilizer tariffs. Literally everyone was pissed all day. So I'm covering all that for my column, where I will have all of those MAGA quotes in my column today about each thing, bitching about Trump. And then I watched this cabinet meeting, you know, and it's like, you know, these aren't cabinet meetings. He just goes around the room and like everyone in his cabinet praises him about like how godlike he is. So it's just this bizarre scenario where on social media all day long, MAGA is just bitching about everything he's doing and how unhappy they are. And then you go to his cabinet and they're like, everything is amazing. You're the greatest ever. And it's like, he has surrounded himself with all of these yes men, with his Rasputin Howard Lutnick whispering in his ear evil things. And, you know, there's this complete disconnect between him and his MAGA base right now, where
And
he
Ron,
is not plugged into them at all.
Ron, you had tweeted out, which I thought was very funny, in this cabinet meeting. They claimed that he saved Christianity, Christmas, and college football. I couldn't stop laughing at that, but it's true.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm also going to have what I was talking to the guys about an hour ago was, because we were all saying this is a crazy cabinet meeting, this is batshit. You know, like, I can't believe what the things that they're saying to him. The whole thing is just what it is. They go around the room and it's like it's like Stalin or North Korea, where they're all trying to like outdo each other on how much they can praise him and what they can praise him for. So they're like, you should get the Nobel Peace Prize. You saved Christmas. You saved Christianity. And then like the labor secretary is like, you saved college football. I'm like, what, where's that? I missed that one. You know, I think I cover this stuff pretty closely, but you know, it's just like when you put an RFK saying like, he shot a 59 at Bedminster. It's like, okay, you know, RFK is like the 9th guy up. So he's like, what can I come up with? Holy shit. You know, everybody else has come up with all this crazy. He's like, he said, you're exempt from the fitness challenge that all the cabinet officials are doing with the push-ups and the pull-ups because you shot a 59 at Bedminster. I'm like, what? No, he didn't. I know the outing he's talking about when he did like a best ball thing with Bryson DeChambeau and like they used all Bryson's shots. You know, Trump couldn't make a putt, you know, so it was just really crazy. So what I did in my column is today, that's going to be out tonight, is I put all the quotes from all the MAGA people criticizing him all day long in a row, and then followed that by all the quotes from his cabinet officials praising him like a god, like right after that. It's just great.
Yeah, because all these, I saw one thing that you put up, like Charlie Kirk talking about Chinese students coming to this country. Obviously, all these MAGA idiots are against it. They're against any of these foreigners coming in here in large groups. And yet Donald Trump makes that announcement, his administration make that announcement, and people like Charlie Kirk are silent.
Okay, so this is definitely not Trump's idea because Trump knows nothing about this. This is another Lutnick plan. And how you know that is because Trump, you know, makes the announcement and he doesn't know many details about it. He just says, we're going to be admitting 600,000 Chinese students. Right now, I think we admit like 290. Mm-hmm. So he's talking about doubling the number of Chinese students when like 3-4 months ago, they were talking about deporting all the Chinese students and revoking all their visas. Now they're talking about doubling the number of Chinese students. So then Lutnick goes on Laura Ingram's show on Fox last night to defend this because MAGA is freaking the hell out. So he goes on there to defend it, and Laura Ingram's pissed. She hates the idea too. And he explains it and makes it worse. When he gets into the details of this plan, it's even worse than you can imagine. Because here's what the argument is. The argument is this, that Chinese students basically are helping to finance the entire university system in America because they don't have any financial aid, loans, nothing. They pay cash for their tuition, and they pay more than Americans, a big number for their tuition. And so the argument is that basically like Chinese tuition helps to subsidize American students because the universities are making all this money off Chinese students. So they want to expand that. And what he's saying is, if we got rid of the Chinese students who are here now, who are all at these elite universities, what would happen is Americans at tier 2 universities would then move into those spots and get those spots.
Right.
And then the lower tier colleges would go out of business because they wouldn't have enough American students. That's the plan that they're rolling out.
And like, some of these, I guess you could say far right wingers on social media, and some are not very happy with it. I mean, you know a few of them, and I think Laura Loomer being one of them. They can't be happy about this.
I'll give you the list.
Yeah.
my quotes I got right here. I got a whole list of people. You know, Laura Ingham. You got a podcaster Chase, who's got a big podcast. Clint Russell's got a big podcast. Harrison Smith from InfoWars, Laura Loomer, Ann Coulter, Nick Fuentes, Steve Deese, who's got a big evangelical Christian podcast in Iowa. John Conrad, another one. Emerald Robinson, who's the main host for Mike Lindell TV. I mean, those are just a few of the people who are ripping this policy. I mean, it's crazy. And then even the flag burning one, they're like, what are we doing here? We're making it a crime to burn a flag, you know? So it's a crazy day.